Hello and welcome back to CryptoLiveLeak. My name is Ken, and today we have Grant Blaisdell, co-founder of Coinfirm, and they are notable for the AMLT token. And again, before we start this interview, please feel free to subscribe to our channel, like this video, follow us on all our social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You know the deal, at CryptoLiveLeak. And how you doing today, Grant?
Good, Ken. Thanks for having me again. As you remember, we first met in Boston at Token Fest, where I was presenting around our AML platform and some of what at the time was the next steps and stages of our development around our AMLT network, which is fueled by the token, which you mentioned. So thanks for having me again.
You're very welcome, and it's our pleasure to have you, Grant. So first, let's just talk about some of the AMLT network. Where is your project in its current stage, and what are the next stages of the project?
Well, before I get into that, if you don't mind, I'd want to kind of get into the big picture of how and why it was created, and also to talk a bit about, the Coinfirm AML platform, which the AMLT network is built upon, the use cases built from that platform, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the overview of generally us as a company, we've been in the space for almost 3 years now. Successfully and generating revenues through the Coinfirm AML platform in the market for over 2 years. So we're generally considered if not the global leader when it comes to RegTech, so regulatory technology solutions for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. As a lot of people have recognized more recently, especially the regulatory compliance and specifically ourselves, the anti-money laundering aspect is one of the bigger, let's say, roadblocks or kind of points to be solved in a better way for larger commercial and mass adoption of crypto and blockchain. So we recognized this very early on, and we viewed ourselves as a mission to kind of bridge these two economies by not only providing a solution for that issue, but also changing the realities of how this AML compliance has been done up until this point. So we're taking something that's up until now has been generally very inefficient and ineffective. In the traditional space, it's like 1% effectiveness. Expensive, a lot of manual aspects, and we've turned it into a automated, streamlined, and much more effective. So around 90 times more effective of an anti-money laundering solution. We've been servicing with this platform anyone from major cryptos themselves like Dash to exchanges to major regulated entities like one of the larger banks in the world who built their own stablecoin ecosystem, for example. So we can talk a bit about that particular project a bit later. And another thing, also as we see this blockchain ecosystem develop, blockchain agnosticism is important. So the ability to be able to play across multiple different blockchain environments. So that's also something unique about our platform. So we cover around 80% of the crypto market as far as being able to analyze it for these purposes.
So it's not just Ethereum-based wallet addresses that you guys are tracking and putting reputation to. It's a wide variety of other blockchains that you're also tracking addresses.
Yeah, tracking isn't the proper term for us. We're analyzing not just the blockchain as well. We're integrating off-chain data. So we're integrating data off web, deep web Tor, and also what the AMLT token and network is built upon is the kind of the third data source. And it's a use case we've been using for over 1.5 years on the platform, which is partners, clients, the market has a voice and provides us data when they run into whatever these actions may be. We analyze that data. If the data is legitimate, we implement it in the platform. So, like we talked before about a exchange hack, right? And then on the other end, the tokens are liquidated by the end of the day on another exchange, right? So where's the reporting system and where's the system behind it that will show that other exchange that these come from this action and that they shouldn't accept them or freeze them, whatever it may be. So we're taking, off-chain data, on-chain data, and the AMLT, putting it in our database, structuring it from what we know. We have one of the largest structured blockchain databases in the world. We push that through our algorithms. So on the other end, you get the AML kind of actionable data that you need.
And you actually incentivize market participants to self-report data into the system through your actual token, the AML.
Yeah, and you and I chatted a bit before the call around utility tokens and things like that, and what sits at the heart of what that is. And in the past 2 weeks, I've brought on. We've had 2 exchanges come on as AMLT network members. So we have this whole thing of network membership. So you get onboarded into the network, you hold X amount of tokens. When you provide data, you get tokens in return, right? So we onboarded 2 exchanges, one BitBay, so the largest fiat to crypto exchange in Europe, and the other one Gatecoin, which is a Hong Kong-based exchange that's been in the game for a long time, very serious guys. So around that use case, we're actually getting paid for our AML services with our token, with the benefits on top of it for them of being a network member, right?
So that's a very interesting point right there. Is it you only accept payment in the AMLT token? Is it 100% payment?
No. Listen, we're a business. This is something I think we provide incentives and benefits of doing so. But when you're dealing with, big banks, this is something the crypto space sometimes needs to understand a bit better. And one reason why I think, we've been successfully in the space for so long and, only see our capabilities to grow, increase, right? What we're doing and what we've been solving is only growing as a need right now. So we, how are you? Not all entities are able to take on what they view as the legal aspects, the compliance aspect, the process aspects. It's not for everybody just yet. We hope to build, such a system, such a network, such a model, and that the crypto space grows naturally, in a proper manner to the point to where it's not an issue anymore to pay for a service with a token for a major traditional company. But I mean, try to get Microsoft, try to convince Microsoft to pay you in a token. Go for
it. Well, what your company focuses on doing is what I think is very important to the overall picture of the cryptocurrency market. I mean, you see these cryptocurrency ETFs that are getting proposed, and the SEC is denying them because there's not enough certainty on what's going on with the characters participating. So you're almost like shedding some light on the participants in the market. Another example is, cryptocurrency is designed to be borderless and restrictionless, and government intervention can't stop people from sending cross-border transactions. And this could be bad in the case of, say, a sanctioned country or sanctioned entity. Maybe they are able to buy weapons with cryptocurrency, and they shouldn't be.
Well, so we've been analyzing them. Sorry, finish your question. I just already thinking about it.
Oh yeah, go for it. I mean, maybe you have an example you can say, something maybe recently you've identified.
I appreciate it, because I am going to highlight some specific things, but I just want people to understand, and I know the crypto people want to hear this, which is, based off our analysis, there seems to be less of these sort of actions and kind of money laundering looking things in the crypto space as a percentage of it than in the traditional space. So that's the good news.
That's interesting.
The other good news, for the entities that want to be transparent, want to, participate in what I call kind of the white market, the more regulated, transparent market, is that blockchain and cryptos are actually, if you know how to analyze it, and this is at the core foundation of the technology itself, they're actually much, 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 much more effective and transparent when it comes to analyzing it for any sort of anti-money laundering, those sort of purposes. So it's a key point towards the adoption of this in any sort of traditional sense. And that's why we feel we kind of stand at the forefront of that and be in the bridge between those two worlds. And we're proving that, in the market entities that we deal with. So Bitwala, for example, has created with Solaris Bank, the first blockchain bank account pretty much in Germany, right? Like official type of thing. So for example, we're in the middle there as a filter on, the AML end, and providing not just a standard that fits for the traditional system, but one that exceeds it, because our capabilities to do the AML is actually much more effective and better than anything the traditional system could technically do. And then when you add on something like the AMLT network, where what we're doing is we're, incentivizing, globally crowdsourcing data and giving the market a voice. It's a funny thing when you kind of go to these presentations, these conferences, and you stand on stage and you say, hey, if you've been ransomware or if you've had something like this happen, where do you go? And there's just nothing. There's crickets, right? And then you ask them, how do you fight this? What system is there behind it? Even if you do report it, to do something about it. And there's nothing been, really able to do like this in the traditional space. But in the crypto space, because of how blockchain is, you can do that. So,
right. You're dealing with public ledgers. So once you identify an asset in one wallet, you can trace where that's sent from wallet address to wallet address. It's all publicly visible. And it seems like your system is able to put that data to use.
Yeah, well, you brought up what are these next kind of steps, long-term things. We view what we're doing with the AMLT network to serve as a foundation for systems like this, period, for data, period, right? This kind of submission, verification, implementation models around data, and doing so transparently, globally, but also, yes, about the public blockchains, but also, creating a system and a model like this can be used also within different types of, more closed, more private types of systems and ecosystems, if you want to call them, right? So, for example, one thing that we're doing is we're building what I call subnetworks. So, cool example, kind of big, big thought example. So, Nigeria, there's the CAD ICT hub in Nigeria. It's supported by the state and private individuals from the tech space. And within that is the Africa Blockchain Lab. We helped co-create that with them. And one of the first things we're doing is, Nigeria has a pretty large kind of underground economy around, scams. You've gotten probably the Nigerian Prince email, and I think everybody has, right? So
everyone has.
Yeah, that aspect. And what we're doing there is we're allowing the CAD ICT Hub, the Africa Blockchain Lab, to build a sub-network of incentivized parties to incentivize them to kind of go in the different direction, right? And help clean up the economy around there. Because since cryptos came in, it's also added a new layer of that let's say, sub-economy over there. So what they're doing is they get, they'll recruit and educate along with us. We're doing a whole education program around it. How to look for, find, and report these type of things. They'll report them. For the valid data, the CAD ICT Hub will get those tokens, and along with their participants, they use the tokens as they feel free, whether it's on the platform, which it's what they're made for, or they can just hold them and continue reporting data and try to improve their, let's say, the transparency of the economy, because that's really what sits at the core of a lot of these issues is a trust and transparency in the economy.
And that's interesting that you established that sort of that hub in the area in Africa there. Is there any other hubs that you've been working to establish similar to that?
We created the first blockchain lab in Central Europe. So technically that's where I'm sitting right now at the Coinfirm Blockchain Lab. So we have a history and a track record of doing things like that and actually building successes out of it. So technically our second product, which is our True Datum, it's a data provenance platform that can be used countless industries, countless applications, from KYC to document verification, right? So the largest bank in Central Europe, PKO BP, has just integrated that and released 5 million documents to 5 million citizens in Poland that were registered through our platform, hashed in a blockchain, etc. So, we have a certain unique, I think, at this point, track record in the industry when it comes to doing certain things. One of them is this kind of lab and creating a product out of it, working with regulated entities, true blockchain implementations. That's our focus.
And I think one of the biggest things is you're actually incentivizing people to self-report and to participate in a positive manner to this sort of white hat
Yeah,
network
and
that
it's
you've built.
needed. People don't have a voice, and most whether it's a victim or somebody who sees things, they just want to be heard for the most part, and we're kind of taking that to the next level and giving end effects as well as incentivizing them to do so.
And talking again on the sanctions, do you want to get into that a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit?
yeah.
How
The original
you
thing with the examples. Yeah, so an interesting thing that just happened is, for the first time ever, two individuals and their crypto addresses were put on a U.S. sanctions list, which these two individuals were tied to the SamSam ransomware, and it's tied, to the new wave of sanctions on Iran. So these were two Iranian guys, and these entities were pretty openly liquidating these funds on some major exchanges that a lot of us know. So we're going to be coming out over the next couple days. We're talking. We know some of these entities, right? So we're going to be coming out with a report, kind of detailing of this kind of situation and circumstance. So I'll happily share that with you once we release that. I think we're going to release it in two stages. One, a kind of small, quick overview that we do as a part of our content series for AMLT. So this one is going to be for our high risk addresses of the month series, which should be out by the end of the week. And then we'll probably end up getting the other one placed in some sort of major publisher, the more drawn out one. So in that case, we already have those entities flagged, their addresses flagged with the proper risk indicators, and their risk score is changed within our platform. So if you query those addresses in our platform, you will see the risk rating and everything reflected appropriately to everything that's happening. So I'll shoot you those reports so you can show your viewers as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely have that up. We can put that on our website, CryptoLiveLeak.org, which is the online social blog. Any user can sign up for and share any information or post any articles they'd like. And they actually go through a process of attention mining our own CLL token.
Hey,
But it's interesting.
I'm happy to
those
also,
are the
one of the cool things, use cases we're doing is with media, crypto related media, where we have, a widget that entities can put on their sites. And this comes back to what I was talking about, subnetworks. So that users can just come on, they say, hey, I ran into this. Well, you can report it, on the widget on our site, right?
That might be a really cool thing to integrate into our site. That would be just another portal for you to have more data streaming into your system. Yeah, absolutely.
Incentivize, whether it's you guys or your users to do so. So, I'm more than happy to explore that.
So interesting so that was the first case of crypto addresses that were actually put on a sanctioned list. So that's kind of historic there. Cryptocurrencies have been around for, roughly 10 years. And this is within those 10 years, first case
I believe it is. I don't want you to quote me on that exactly, but I think it's the first time it's officially been put on like that. We documented some kind of terrorist funding type potentially related addresses a couple of years ago. But like I said earlier, like what is happening in the crypto space compared to the traditional space around these things is like really minimal. So the crypto space is surprisingly, for most people, actually cleaner in that way.
And so what you guys do is you're establishing sort of a risk rating, and that doesn't mean that an exchange won't do business with these bad addresses that have been flagged, they still could technically do business with these addresses, correct? It's not like a total block
It
on
depends
these
on the
addresses. You
entity's
can't
risk
sort
acceptance,
of
even what the
stop them.
flags are. So we have 200 risk indicators in our full reports where you get to see exactly what is flagging up. What might be unacceptable to one might be acceptable to another. It depends on their risk policy. We don't make decisions for entities. We're not here to enforce. We're analyzing and providing actionable data in a way that these entities can use for something that they need. And we're doing so at the highest, what our clients tell us as well, not only the highest standard, but the best way of providing that data in actionable form, which is, one of the many pitfalls of a lot of tech projects, especially around crypto, but also AML, which is, how are you structuring this data? How are you providing this data? How are you showing this data? Like I'm a very user experience focused person. So I don't originally come out of the financial space. I'm more of a startup creator type. So I'm thinking user experience, et cetera. And our team and, our co-founding team and CEO also, they're focused on that, even though they come out of that space. One of our goals was to change how that's done, period. So not just connect these two economies, these two worlds, and solve that problem, but just make AML a totally different thing than it was.
And so what's the website that I can go to
AMLT,
paste an address in and find the risk rating? You want to just...
Okay, so to get a risk rating, it's coinfirm.com, and you can go through there and you can get into our tool through the site. And to report an address, it's amlt.coinfirm.com. And you can go in there and there's a widget. You have to create profiles for both. And to get risk ratings, et cetera, that actually costs. But we're coming out with different types of model.
Okay.
We're focusing a lot more of a SaaS model recently, to be honest, when it comes to the AML platform. When it comes to AMLT, it's free to use. You just got to create a profile and you can submit data.
And the widget to add to, say, our site,
No,
we would find that on those same locations?
For it.
Okay, cool. And we'll put the links to all those, again, in these videos here. You'll see those flash on the screen. And what's the typical turnaround time once you've identified, a risk to be flagged onto an address? Is it within minutes, within seconds, within hours, days?
Just looking through it, seeing that it's legitimate, and then they put it into the system. So we're analyzing everything
It's a manual process
in real time, from Genesis block to pretty much the latest block. So we're able to do it pretty quickly. And that's the thing with the AMLT network with, when I gave you the hack example, we hope to build such an effective, system also when we come in with that consensus model that I was talking about around data verification. Once we come in with that it's such a quick and, seamless process that it's, it just happens. And hopefully within minutes, you can start assessing things properly so that, people don't, because I understand people's kind of apprehensions towards certain aspects like this, but at the same time, like when people have millions and millions and, hundreds of millions of dollars of their stuff stolen, and it's like, just let it run. Right. Yeah. I'm not, I think that's where kind of the line has to stop. And, a lot of exchanges for a long time have made money off of that. So, it's also about, do we want to incentivize that sort of behavior? And back to the incentivization thing, we're trying to incentivize people to go in the other direction.
Right, because an exchange could say, well, we just want more volume so we can get more fees off the transactions.
Like I was in Malta recently, I was in Silicon Valley recently, we're in London headquartered. I've talked to a bunch of regulators recently, including here in Poland where I'm sitting right now. It's not an option anymore. So you either do it the best way for yourself or, you suffer the consequences of it.
It's also important to know it's not just exchanges or banks that can sign up to use this platform. It's also individuals that can have these same incentives.
Actually, surprisingly, we've gotten more network members as individuals than I expected. And they're very active and they're quite passionate about it. I think it's also because they see what's going on in crypto, and the ICO space didn't help reputationally around this. They see what's going on, or either they've been victims themselves, or they just like stuff like this, or people have different viewpoints towards it, but the people who really get what we're doing understand why it's important. And it's been interesting to watch how different entities react to it. I've talked seriously with very big traditional security companies about it, right? And it's an interesting play to them. Exchanges seem to understand it very well and understand that benefit. So I think that's one reason why we've been pretty successful so far in exchanges. So, back to the utility thing. Listen, we came out pretty quickly. We launched what I call our beta of the network, but it's already functioning. We already had our first month of submissions and then reward distribution. So we've already distributed tokens.
Yeah, you want to touch on that? What kind of cycle that goes through? Is it an instant distribution once you report data, or does it go through?
We do it on a monthly basis. So you have till the 24th to submit. I mean, that's the submission period, right? Ends on the 24th. At the end of the 24th, then we have about a week to analyze all that and determine what the reward should be to each entity that provided valid data. Yep, different measures,
different levels of rewards.
It's based off, transaction history of the address. What kind of data are you actually providing? How valuable is? We have an entire kind of system to analyze the value of the data that's actually provided, and then we reward based off that. So it's not like the most submissions wins.
Right. More the quality. Correct. And
correct
how deep the submission goes. Yeah. So before we get into, I want to ask you your thoughts on the overall current market conditions. I know we've had, a big downturn, at least this past week. Do you want to maybe talk on your view on some of the prices and what we're seeing? That this is, the natural correction of the huge bubble we saw being created in 2017, sort of like the hype cycle. Are we, in your opinion, nearing an end to the downfall? And should we start seeing companies with true utility start seeing a price appreciation in their utility tokens?
For me, the speculative aspect of the market is the part I like least, let's say. I don't like talking much about the price itself. I think like I said, I'm more of I'm a startup guy, kind of, whatever that means. So I like comparing it more to something like the internet and .com boom. So what we're experiencing, I think, right now is a cleansing of the market, let's say. So you're going to see majority of the projects, especially these ICOs and token projects, drop off the face of the earth for the most part. And I think that's rightfully so, if you want my honest opinion, because I don't even want to throw a percentage, but 90 probably something percent serve absolutely no function, nor are they related towards a company who is providing a product, service, function, utility to the market. So it's, come on, most token sales are, we're revolutionizing payments. We're better than Bitcoin, right? It's like, that's not a selling point. So time-wise, I'm not here to speculate what it is. What you're going to have right now is a cleansing, and what's going to come out is, the projects that are here, for the long term, or are actually providing something of value. And you saw the same thing during the .com, boom, how much was hype and how much was real. And I believe that the crypto market's going to recover way quicker because just these things now move faster continuously. The rate of change and these ups and downs just moves faster than it used to, just because of the tech aspect. So I don't want to speculate when it's going to get, better, et cetera. But a lot of companies are hurting right now because, they were also holding their assets in crypto. A lot of companies are struggling right now. luckily for us, like, I've had some VCs make this comparison about us and some other entities. It's like, there's a gold rush, and no matter which mine is doing well or which mine, draws out, whoever's, selling what are they called? The pickaxes, to mine it, or
Pitchforks.
the
Yeah.
Levi's or whatever is going to be okay. So that's kind of our position in the market. When people ask who our potential client or partner is, I say any entity that's touching blockchain assets and wants to be legitimate.
So that's actually another question. I don't know if you can divulge this. So you guys had the ICO, right? Did you
No,
raise Ethereum and Bitcoin only? And are you holding that still? Did you sell that into the market?
We took something that we wanted to develop that already existed develop further, that already existed on a platform that was already in the market, servicing entities, et cetera, and the use case was existent. We feel we set the highest standard when it comes to utility token and token sale. We tied everything to smart contracts, so we only accepted Ether. So everything was transparent and self-executable where possible. So, and we're believers in the market. So, I don't get into, how we liquidated them or how much we liquidated them, et cetera. But, we've invested ourselves and our faith into the market itself and believe in it. I'm not here to tell, which blockchain, which crypto is going to win out and be whatever. You're going to see a bunch of these cryptos drop, not just these tokens, but just these cryptos. If you get my segmentation of the two in this statement, I think you're going to see a lot of those disappear because they serve no function. No one's actually using them. They're not good. For example, you've seen Stellar within a couple of years totally switch their direction, and more power to them. They went, hey, we're going to start doing some real, some commercial adoption, right? So there's a few of them that focus on that, but to me, most of them are just speculative based, which, like I said, doesn't interest me. I'm about building solutions on this tech for this economy.
Yeah, I guess our company might fall into one of those lower categories where it's just a reward token. We may have some users one week, we may not have some users the next week. It's not necessarily meant to accumulate value. It's just a fun marketing tool that we use to help interact with our viewers.
Give them something fun to use. My whole thing has been about how people present what they're doing, what they're actually doing, what their actual goals are, what's actually realistic. I mean, for example, I've set at least 2 separate short-term roadmaps, week by week roadmaps. I don't know. I haven't seen very many projects that do that.
Okay.
And we execute everything every single week. Content series, new network members, et cetera. We're executing it week to week. Yeah, we have.
Let's get into your content series a little bit. You want to just divulge what that is?
We come out with and profile some sort of address and circumstance around that address where it participated, was related to something that is, deemed as high risk. We generate a risk report for that address, show the risk report, talk about, how potentially if this was reported in the system, it could, in the AMLT network, it could be different. So we do that weekly. We do high risk addresses of the month. So we take, X amount of addresses, kind of do the crypto alert thing just on a monthly scale, let's say. God, we have a few more of these. Okay. We also do, we're coming out with, we did it once already, AMLT stats of the month. So this is just how many addresses were reported, how many network members are there, kind of show the growth and the activity around it. Every once in a while, we do, like I said, around this Iran sanctions thing, we do some kind of special reports like that. I'm more than happy to have everybody check out, the blog from the Coinfirm page. And I'll, of course, send you a link if you want to include it, in the video there. Yeah, but I'll get you the blog one
Yeah,
because
is that
they
the
sit
same
on the blogs.
coinfirm.com link that you'll be able
So,
to?
we're very open and collaborative. So whether it's entities like you or, we collaborate around some of these content series, we have a column in Forbes. So, you can see a bunch of different types of content that we're creating.
That's great stuff. And I know you you are one to attend many of these conferences to keep speaking on your product and your
Oh
platform. Is
God,
there
we're
any
we're
conferences that
super
you're
like
upcoming planning to attend?
short term about those things, to be honest. So, we don't plan very much. I appreciate you asking that
Okay.
question. Um, I just spoke actually 2 days ago. I just spoke at one. It's Impact C. It's a pretty big one here in Central Europe. And I sat on main stage. Next to me was managing director, I believe, of PKOBP, so that largest bank in Central Europe that we did generally what I think is honestly the largest true blockchain implementation in banking. So I sat with him on stage, talked with him a bit, and I also got to sit down, which was really interesting, in kind of this backroom private. In this backroom private, no, not right now, not right now. Thank you. In this, sorry, this backroom kind of private meeting that included some regulators and I'm in Europe, some ministries, right, of finance, etc. And it was interesting. It was fun. It's always fun to kind of go back and forth with the regulator, especially, if you guys don't see eye to eye on everything, or if you feel they could be doing a better job for the industry, et cetera, which I think, almost all regulators are in that position right now. And, most of them are trying, and they're trying to do a good job without hurting, innovation or the market unnecessarily.
Yeah, I mean, those are the kind of conversations that are going to lead to positive progress for everyone involved. So glad to hear. And I don't want to keep you too long here, Grant. I know you have places to
Uh,
be, people to speak to, and things to do.
I feel
So do
like
you
I,
have
I
any
should be
closing
like a
statements
rapper
you want to
pitching
make?
his album right now and be like, yeah, come to AMLT.coinfirm.com.
Yeah.
Listen, I want everybody to participate in this network. It's good for the long-term safety, adoption, transparency, security of the market. Also, if you're watching and you have a crypto company and you're not doing AML properly, and understand that KYC and AML are actually two different things, then we're always here, happy to help, and adjust how we deal with you accordingly to your needs, and not just kind of throw a black box at you and say take the black box. And when it comes to AMLT network, welcoming everybody to become network members. But even if you run into something that you just want to submit, and an important thing, you can submit good data too and be rewarded for it. So yeah. So for example, network members, when they register themselves, they get
So not
rewarded
just
for
bad data,
registering
good data.
their address that they get rewarded on.
So everyone watching today, check out coinfirm.com. Go register your address and get rewarded in this AMLT token for reporting good data as well as bad data. Thank you so much. We have Grant Blaisdell here, co-founder of Coinfirm, the AMLT token, one of their products and platforms. Thank you so much again for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to CryptoLiveLeak YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and check out
Thanks for having me, buddy.
cryptoliveleak.org
Talk to you
to
soon.
attention mine some
Bye.
CLL token. Thanks again, Grant. You're welcome. Take care.